There is a little juggling idle animation on our character there. My name is Couch Coop. This is my review of another Grab's Treasure. This is an indie Souls-like available on PSN Extra and Game Pass. There is no excuses. This is kind of a sweet spot for me, an indie Souls-like that is very well made. I would put this up there with Hollow Knight for excellence on its construction, gameplay and atmosphere. Upon clapping eyes on that thumbnail, I remember this Game Pass day one, and I got it immediately, but I thought it was going to be some under-the-sea SquarePants BS. But as you can see, it's a straight-up Souls-like ARPG. It's got more in common with Black Myth Wukong than it has The Little Mermaid. It does cherry-pick its Souls elements for ease of life, we'll go into that in a second, but the combat is a straight-up dodge and avoid. You do have a block, and there's a genius shield equivalent system that comes in the form of a shell. Traversal is pretty amazing. You have this underwater feel, you've got a floaty down drift to your jump, which actually comes in pretty handy, but it's not as aerial as you'd imagine. This is a bit of a boots on the ground die-hard Souls-like, and its difficulty is kind of pitched up there. The first boss is not a breeze, as we're going to find out. So let's do that shell thing first. They're littered around, you have to sort of unlock it, but once you start picking them up and swapping them out, you realise they've got stats. They've got a weight stat which affects your movement speed, and they've got a protective number, meaning how much damage can you actually take with that thing. This guy's going to be one of your first major challenges. His voice will start to get you. He sounds like a Chaos Marine from Dawn of War for the Dark Lobster Gods.
Stop resistance! You dare raise your blade against the law! You face me, degenerate!
Notice, and this is pure coincidence, how the aspect changes once you're in a combat arena or scenario. It basically goes full Evil Within. If you saw my last video, you know what that's a reference to. It's a reference to the Evil Within. It has the classic click in for the targeting system, and switching multiples isn't a huge issue. The last time I saw an aspect ratio in a combat scenario like this was Wind Waker. It works surprisingly well, gives you focus and dramatics. I genuinely thought that would start annoying me, but it kind of adds to the drama. You do have an immunity window on dodge that is kind of passively pushed as your best avoidance, because at this stage you're not too familiar, or you don't have a parry, and that's something else that the game sneaks in slightly later, and it's got a twist on it. That's the wrong lobster, apologies.
You can't outrun the law forever, kid.
After a bit of exploration and meeting some NPCs, you're then introduced to some of the extracurricular powers that come with the shells. So holding down X or square as a build move, and it can be projectile, it can be a number of different things depending on what shell you have equipped, which is excellent. There's also a purple material that you need to refill to keep this gauge charged up. So you've got a layered system of combat. It isn't just dodge and roll. I wouldn't say this system overcomplicates things. It is great to have as an addition, but it introduces it to you a little bit early, because I'm still getting my head around how the parry works and how some of the air dashes and moves on the ground come together with build moves, etc. There is only one attack button, R1, at this stage. It also unashamedly indulges in platforming and a winch move that gets you to higher areas of the game. There's so many secrets. The castle itself kind of goes through a metamorphosis with a change in the game's story, no spoilers, but in all the Souls-likes departments, it's doing fantastically well. And visually, I find it really appealing. It's not trying to overstretch itself graphically. It runs absolutely beautifully. I did find myself gravitating towards certain shell types. This is also combined with that special you have on square or X. There are preferable setups. It does have the classic drop your souls and loot when you die mechanic, and that will be represented by a little symbol on the map. Now there's something well cool that it's doing on that map front. There is no tagging system. You see that compass up there on the top left, you'll get a white symbol of where your souls were left, and that's your lot. Same goes for bosses. You have to walk around, discover them for yourself, but they will appear on the overhead classic picture of the map. So it's interesting how they are not doing any hand holding with huge tagged items and a massive go here, do that now system. And kudos for coming up with the pun shelliportation, as in teleportation. They know, Coop, they know. Losing that shell in a combat scenario is a thing, and you can pick one up afterwards, but you have to prompt the button to do it. You might take a hit. Most of your assets or perks or buffs are only triggered when the shell is worn, but you do have a massive amount of speed. You're a glass cannon. It's a little bit like that let me solo her guy with the pot on his head. You heard me mention Black Myth Wukong earlier there. One of the things that separates that game from a die-hard Souls-like system is the restart point after death during boss fights. It gives you a bit of a chance and says you can start right next to the arena if you want to. Stellar Blade has the same system. It completely removes the tedium of getting back to a boss that's going to insta-kill you. And it is super welcome here. This game loves its bosses. It's kind of an Armored Core 6 situation. And that also brings me over to the damage build on that health bar. Notice you have a similar yellow system underneath. Once you get that up, there's a big opening for massive damage. Can we just do a roll call of the references that you've dropped so far in this review? So chronologically, we went Hollow Knight, The Evil Within, and then over to Wind Waker. Black Myth Wukong got a mention, Stellar Blade's in here, and then we finished up with Armored Core 6. Most of those games have been reviewed on my channel in the last 6 months. Wind Waker, not so much. Got that on the Wii U, marooned alongside Bayonetta 2. Joy of joys. With the addition of all this cool stuff, you obviously become super confident, and fighting these lobsters is now just a normal thing. Same goes for the giant crabs, and they, if you notice, all are carrying sometimes individually allocated weaponry, and it all has an effect on you with its speed and its damage. That also goes for whether they've got a bottle cap on them. It's so cool, the integral differences in a lot of the day-to-day enemies. But it was this exploration and traversal that caught me by surprise, and to a certain extent the story. Opening up that map and discovering new species of enemies within the crustacean canon is quite a pull for me. On the Dark Souls 1 reference, I couldn't resist this one. If you look hard enough, you find little treasures that are... Only time will tell if you've got away with that one. And finding all these little secrets, little items, a little trinket that you slot in that vastly increases your damage stat. It's familiar stuff, but it's all in the same place in a really cool indie game that's available on both of the major subscription services. Okay, that brings me over to the parry system, because you may have just seen one then. If you blinked, you missed it. Now, the genius idea, or the angle that they've come in with, is that once parry is in, when block is being held down, it's the momentary release of block prior to taking the hit that gives you the knockback window. It's the opposite equation. Normally, it's a last-minute application of the block or dodge, so it takes a little while with the old muscle memory, but once you become familiar with it, it's a very cool system. It means that you need to be blocking as much as you possibly can to allow that lift off to get the parry. It's a totally different psychology to a normal Souls-like in that direction, but you don't have a stamina meter, so it's not like having your shield up affects that rebirth mechanic. That goes for running, jumping, and moving around the enemy. You've got a free reign on that front. You might have played it and it might not be your thing. It has been out for nearly a year. 9 out of 10 on Steam, and I remember trying this day one and thinking I've got to go back to it. It's also got a really strong and popular community. There's a lot of people out there who really love this game, and I can completely understand why. It is also available on the Switch, and I cannot think of a more perfect handheld indie Souls-like, to be honest. This and Hollow Knight. Is Hollow Knight a Souls-like? That's a chat for another time. We've got a state of play today, surprise one, at 10 o'clock at night. That's probably exactly the time that my video will upload.
You see how worthless this all is?
I was, of course, Couch Coop, and I will be seeing you down there.
Shiny.